Hi everyone, I'm Anna. I'm a children's librarian at the East Hampton Library, and today I'm going to read a story to you as well as share an art project at the end of the book based on some of the illustrations in the book. So the book I have to share today is called Summer Song by Kevin Hankes, illustrated by Laura Dronzik, which is kind of interesting because Kevin Hankes usually does his own illustrations and that's what he's most known for. But this is an absolutely beautifully illustrated book. I do want to give a shout out to Green Willow Books for allowing us to read aloud, record, and share this book on our various social media platforms at this time. So, Summer Song by Kevin Hankes. The summer sun is a giant flower, and the flowers are like little suns of all different colors. But if I had to pick one color, I'd say summer is green. Green on green on green. Summer is a green song. A song of leaves and trees and weeds and grass. Lots of grass. If there is tall grass in a field and the wind blows, it sounds like music. So do the air conditioners and the fans and the sprinklers and the lawnmowers. Most of the time birds are part of the song in the air of the sky. And sometimes rain and thunder are too. If you lie in the grass and you're quiet and patient and lucky, you might hear a bug song, whirring and buzzing and humming. Are there bees? Yes. Grasshoppers? Yes. Crickets? Yes. Dragonflies? Yes. And silent butterflies too. And at night, are there fireflies? Sometimes. There's one, and another one, and another one, and another one. They're singing to each other without a sound. When there is fog early in the morning, summer is a gray song. When you go to the beach or a lake, summer is a blue song. And when the sky is blue too. But the green song is still there. If you slow down and think about it, you can feel the summer song. It's warm, and then hot, and then hotter. In the shade, it can be cool. Or when you play with the hose. But when the days become shorter and the nights become earlier, the song changes. Summer gets bored and wants to try something new, something different. The song is turning, it's turning into fall. And that is Summer Song by Kevin Hankes. So my favorite part of summer is the sunshine. I love the sun. And this is a project that I had done a while back, planning for something different, but I decided it fit very well with this book. So I want to re-show you the illustration on the very first page, where the author and illustrator talk about and color paint the sun. So what we're going to do today, since we're thinking about summer and sunshine, is color a sun. So this is the project we're working on, and if you look at this closely, you'll notice that my sun rays all have different designs. So I was lucky enough to have handy a book of scrapbook paper, and I cut those pieces of paper out into little triangles and glued them down to make my various rays of the sun. So if you have scrapbook paper and you can cut those out when we get to that part of cutting, you can do that. If you don't have scrapbook paper, what we are going to do is create our own colored paper of different designs. So for this project, if you have scrapbook paper, that's great. If not, just some white paper. I'm going to use markers. That's what I have handy and what I love. You can use crayons or colored pencils or even paint, anything you want to cover your white paper. You will also need maybe a pencil, definitely some glue, and scissors. Scissors, glue. Sorry, I'm a little bit out of the camera here. So we are going to start with making a sky. So you can see here on mine, I have kind of a green-blue background as a sky. And if you look, let's go back to that illustration, it's just a nice bright blue sky. So we are going to cover this whole piece of paper so that we have a blue background and sky. Now you do want to make sure your table is covered. You can color or mark your paper any way you want. I'm choosing to color mine all the way across. And I've got a nice white tablecloth, plastic, which is easy to clean on mine. And again, I'm using marker on this, but this is a project that, especially if you're, this is what a lot of us think of as scribbling, and getting outside of the lines and off of the paper. Crayons are really good to turn on their side and do this with. And the other thing that's really good that works this way is colored pencils, although you do have to sharpen them frequently if you choose to use that. My purpose in doing this is to get as much of it colored as I can. So now I'm going to work at a different angle. So previously I was going across this way. I'm going to do a little bit of what's called cross hatching with a darker blue, and we're going to start up here. And then it will pick up some of those white spaces. So you can just keep doing that across your paper with a lot of different colors. You can add a little bit of purple, you can add lighter blues, dark blues. You can do a variety of directions until you end up with something like this. So we are going to set that aside now. That you can pause the camera while you're going through this part, or you can stop it, pause it, or you can just keep going with me, but you may want to stop it to work on this part of the project and finish that up. And then you can see, I'm going to move this over here again, you can see where I've drawn a circle in the middle there. That's going to be where the center of our sun goes, and we need that as kind of a guide. So you want to cut out a circle. I'm going to flip this over and just draw a circle, and you guys can freehand it. You can use a water bottle to trace it however you want. But go ahead and cut that circle out. And after you've done that, we are going to use it to trace onto our sky so that we use that as a guide. But there's my circle, so put it down here. And then you can see I've traced around it. I believe I did red, but you can do a pencil. Mine is just primarily because I believe the center of the sun is very, very hot. And while the one illustrated in this book was a bright yellow, I do like to use reds on mine. So I'm going to move this aside again. And as I said, I used reds on mine. So kind of the same thing. This is a darker orange that I'm using on it. And then I did the cross hatching this way with a red until I picked up kind of all those white spots. But I did that on the whole thing until I come out with something like that. So there's the center of my sun. So right now you have your sky that's colored, you have the center of your sun. Although we're not going to glue that down, that's going to be our very last step. We do want that as a guide. So the next step is going to be making the sun's rays. And like I said, I had a piece of, or several pieces actually, of scrapbook paper that I was able to use. So on this one, we're just gonna, you can have as much white as you want. This is a page that we're gonna cut up. So I'm starting with red, but these are the sun's rays. So we want to get some yellow in here and go a different direction. This is one of those projects that you can do with kids of all ages. Of course, we're reading a picture book, or just read a picture book that is good for ages preschool all the way up to about 3rd grade. And so a child of just about any age that can hold a fork or a spoon or a pencil is probably big enough to do this project. The yellow is really, really light, so I'm covering a lot of space with it. Then I'm going to do my orange. I'm going to go just kind of some lines like this across it. Not necessarily the curves zigzagging, but just back and forth. Random lines and marks. Doesn't have to be anything fancy or neat. Just getting color on that paper. Okay, now we are going to take this piece of paper and we're going to turn it into the sun's rays. And we are going to do that by cutting out triangles. And you're going to start in a corner and you're going to just cut right across the point, cut up at an angle. And there you have it. There is your first ray for your sun. So it's pointed at one end, flat at the other. So then we're going to turn our paper and we're going to cut on the other side. Now you can make these as wide or as narrow as you want. You can see since I have an 8x11 piece of paper, it's a little shorter on that end. So I'm getting some short ones and some long ones. Turn my paper again. This time I want kind of a skinny or a narrow one, so I'm almost cutting a little more straight up. And you're just going to keep doing this all around your paper until you have nothing left and you have rays of all different sizes. I did color and pre-cut some, so here are all the rays I have. So we're going to add those there. Now you're going to bring your sky back down and you're going to start gluing your rays on. And the rays are going to go all the way off the piece of the paper. So your goal here is to make sure that the flat part of your ray is within your circle. If you have it out here, when you glue your circle down in a little bit, the end of it's going to show. But what we want to do is work our way around the paper, gluing them all within that circle, and then we will glue this down on top of it to kind of neaten it up a little bit. So there's where your glue stick comes in. And just make sure when you're putting glue on it that you really want to glue only as far as to the edge of the paper. So kind of lay it down and measure it with your finger and flip it over. And then you just want to glue from that point up. And then just inside the circle there, out that way. And then I'll grab another one. And I'm going to decide where I'm going to put it first. So again, I know how far to glue, because you don't want all that glue hanging off the paper. And you don't have to go very far in the circle, just far enough that it can be hidden a little bit. So that one's going to go about there. And you will reach a point, as you can see here, they're starting to overlap a little bit, and I've only got 3 pieces on so far. And that's okay. So there's that one. And then we'll measure. This one's a really fat one, but it goes almost all the way to the end. Glue that on there. Now here I've got kind of a short one, so I'm going to put it on a spot where it stays completely on the paper, and we're going to go ahead and overlap a little bit of a space I had started there. There's no real rhyme or reason of how you want to put these on here. Different lengths and different shapes all the way around. Widths, I guess I should say, not shapes, because they kind of are all triangles. This one's a short one that can just go right there. And you don't even necessarily have to put them in the middle like that where they come straight out. This one's a little angled over to the side. You can put them close together. You can put them where they come off of the page a little bit. You can put them where they stay completely on the page. Your goal is just to get as many of the rays, let's see if I go that way, I'm out of camera, let's go that way. As many of the rays as you can on the paper. So I will do just a couple more here. That one looks like it was the edge of the paper. It doesn't have quite as much color. And another short one in my stack. And I didn't show you cutting all the way through, but you could see as I was going through it that when I turned my paper each time I cut, every other time I would have a few short ones. So again, some of your rays are really nice and long and skinny, and then some of them are shorter and chubbier. I think this one will go good right there. So I still have quite a few more that I can add, and you can add as many as you want. I didn't have you color, oh, I did have you color your circle. So now that your circle, it should be colored and cut out. And I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I think this is a great project. The crayons would look beautiful on this. And then just glue that down in the center, and it kind of brings it all together for you. So that is our Summer Sun project based on what we saw in the illustrations in Kevin Henkes' new book, Summer Song. So thank you guys for sitting and listening and participating in the project. And as always, I would love for you to post your projects or photos of your projects in the comments below so that I can see them, or I'm happy to take a glance at them if you want to bring them into the library and show them to me. So have fun and create as many of these as you would like. Bye.